Chelsea Manning set to go free in 5 months. Just days before the end of his administration, U.S. President Barack Obama surprisingly granted clemency to one of America's most controversial whistleblowers. In late 2009, Chelsea Manning, then known as Bradley, was deployed to Iraq by the U.S. Army. As an intelligence analyst, the Army private was allowed access to classified computer networks. Manning copied more than 700,000 documents, videos, war logs, and diplomatic cables in one of the biggest breaches of classified material in American history. The files were sent to WikiLeaks and made public, exposing everything from abuses of detainees to sensitive diplomatic deals and conversations. Among the items leaked was a video showing a U.S. helicopter attack on suspected insurgents in Baghdad that killed 2 Reuters journalists. Manning was convicted in July 2013 of violating the Espionage Act and leaking government information. She was sentenced to 35 years in prison. The 29-year-old had been struggling with gender dysphoria while in the Army. After her sentencing, she came out as transgender and changed her name to Chelsea. Manning struggled with her mental health in prison. She twice attempted suicide while incarcerated in Fort Leavenworth. On January 17th, President Obama commuted her sentence from 35 to 7 years. She will be released on May 17, 2017. Manning's road to freedom is in stark contrast to fellow leaker Edward Snowden, who was wanted on similar charges. Snowden also applied for a commuted sentence. White House officials say the 2 cases are different. Manning acknowledges her wrongdoing and went through the military criminal justice process. Snowden fled to Russia, an adversary that has most recently been implicated in efforts to tamper with the U.S. presidential elections. Keep watching for 2 more stories about WikiLeaks.
Hacked emails show cozy Clinton relationship with journalists. A leaked email published by WikiLeaks shows New York Times reporter Mark Leibovich let Hillary Clinton's staff edit a story he was writing about her. "We went along as it provided our only entree to the subject," Leibovich tweeted after he was caught out. Meanwhile, in a document published by The Intercept, then political reporter Maggie Haberman was singled out as a friendly journalist who had teed up stories for Clinton. Haberman, who is now with the New York Times, won't talk about it. These are just 2 examples of how the Clinton campaign uses access to shape the narrative. They were exposed during the release of Clinton's emails by WikiLeaks and Russian hacker persona Gufficer 2.0. To be sure, every presidential campaign does this, but this is the first time they've left such a damning paper trail. It's just unfortunate that it probably comes to us courtesy of Russia.
United Nations panel rules that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is being arbitrarily detained. A United Nations panel reportedly determined today that Julian Assange is being arbitrarily detained at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. In general, arbitrary detention is when somebody is deprived of their liberty through no proper process of law. The WikiLeaks founder and alleged sex offender said he would turn himself over to British authorities this week if the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detentions ruled against him. Reports from British media today suggest that the panel will rule in his favor. The 44-year-old Australian has been holed up inside the Ecuadorian embassy in London since 2012 to escape extradition to Sweden over sexual assault allegations. British police officers maintained a 24-hour presence outside the embassy from when Assange sought refuge there in June of 2012 until October. In 2014, Assange complained to the UN about being arbitrarily detained as he can't exit the embassy without being arrested. In the past, London police have conducted surveillance on the embassy from a mobile command unit and also from nearby buildings. Earlier this week, the hacker said that if the court ruled in his favor, he expects the authorities to return his passport and not arrest him. But unfortunately for Assange, the British police earlier said they'd still nab him no matter what the ruling was. And truth be told, the UN panel has no real power over British or Swedish law.